Shut up and sit down.
It's Coffee with the Coaches, episode 24, coming to you from the Mega Desk.
Megadeth.
My name's Michael,
My name's Paige.
and we're going to start this thing off with a dad joke like we always do. First off, I got to tell everybody that my daughter Amber showed up at the house a couple of days ago with this book, and she said, "Dad, I got you a present for the podcast." And so it's an actual book called, what is it, Dad Jokes? I guess it's just called Dad Jokes. So I've got two that I think are fantastic, but Paige is reading from the Dad Joke book today.
I'm just going to flip to a random page, and whatever we land on is going to get read.
All right. You, go ahead. Let's see what you flip to.
Okay. Why couldn't 8 get back up?
I don't know.
When it fell over, it was forever. Because it's the infinity sign.
That's a good one. I had to think about that one for a second. That's good.
It took me a second to get it too. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right.
All right, you go. You have 2, right?
Yeah, I've got 2 of them. Okay, I went to the bookstore and I asked a woman for a book about turtles. She said hardback, and I was like, yeah, and little heads. You get it?
No.
Turtles, they have hardbacks and little heads. And so do books have hardbacks. I think the best part of
terrible.
telling stupid jokes is explaining them.
So there was one in here. I wish I could find
Here,
it.
I gotta boo myself for
Oh,
that. one.
yeah, it was pretty terrible. There was one in here that I read a minute ago. It was said, I've been told that I'm... Oh, shit. I don't want to ruin it. I got to find it.
Honestly, if you butcher it, it's better after that one I just did.
Oh, it was like, I've been told that I can be very condescending. And then in parentheses, it was like, that means that I just, then explaining what condescending means.
My brother used to do that one. He's the one that really gets into the the real letdown jokes.
Oh, yeah.
And then the ones where you explain them at the end. Like, if you think I'm bad, my brother Gabe is even worse.
So it runs in the family. Is what you're saying.
We all get it from my mom, though. She's responsible for all of this.
That's terrible.
Okay, here's my next one. I was having dinner with my boss, and his wife said, "How many potatoes would you like?" I said, "Oh, I'll just have one, please." And she said, "It's okay. You don't have to be polite." So I said, "All right, I'll just have one then, you stupid cow."
No, that's terrible.
All right, you got to
That's
hit us with
another
one more, and then we'll get into it.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. These are not good. I mean, like, some of them are awesome, and then some of them are like, no. Okay, this one's long. I'm just going to read it. I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger eating a chocolate egg, so I said to him, "I bet I know what your favorite Christian festival is." He said, "Have to love Easter, baby."
Oh, God.
I just picked the longest one and started reading it. Okay, sorry, guys.
This is off to a good start. I think
now
my
that
brother
we've
Gabe is going to be impressed.
Wasted a lot of your life. I'm sorry. What are we talking about, Michael?
Well, we tossed around some different ideas, but the one we've kind of been thinking on is fitness when your significant other is not into fitness. So,
It's a serious subject.
yeah, this can be one that can cause people some difficulties. So, I don't know. Start us off with that. I know this one was your idea, so what was kind of your headspace when you were thinking about this?
I don't know. It was literally
Because I know you and your significant other, you guys are both into fitness. So I
Yeah.
know you guys don't have this issue, but
yeah, so it works out well. We both kind of have the same values around physical fitness, like you and Courtney. And then we have a lot of like couples members in the gym. But then again, there's a lot of people out there who are put a high value on health and wellness while their spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend or partner doesn't. And so it can be a difficult road to travel sometimes, especially when it comes to like the financial investment in it, where if you start budgeting with your partner and you're like, look, hey, you're spending this amount on the gym each month, maybe that's something we can cut out, and you're like, excuse me. Like, no, that's not even a probability. Like, why would you even think of that? And so it's thought of in two totally different camps in that sense. So it can lead to some difficult conversations from time to time.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's actually one that I didn't really pop into my head when we first started talking about this. But yeah, just different financial priorities. That can be really significant.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think it all, a lot of it really boils down to having the discussion around it, being open and communicating with your partner about why you put such a high value on your personal health, essentially. And, ultimately it'd be awesome if our partners were into at least some sort of physical activity as much as we are, but it oftentimes just doesn't work out that way, and that's okay. But I think having the conversation around it is the really important part. And so I think I've been in a relationship before where I was, worked out a lot and was very, I was probably a little like obsessive about it at the time, honestly, about working out. But, that's kind of died off a little bit. But, we had some tough conversations before where I would want to get up and go to the gym, and he just didn't want to do anything. Like, Saturday morning, a lot of times you want to get up and go work out or something, especially if you've had to miss a day throughout the week. Sometimes people like to make it up on Saturday or something, or just go and have fun and socialize and get some activity in with their gym fam. And so sometimes those conversations are hard to have, especially when the other person doesn't see the value in it.
Yeah, if they don't put any of their own value into it, then that can be tricky for sure.
Yeah. One of the most dangerous things you can do is be hostile about it, though. Immediately throw up a guard whenever your partner brings up the discussion. And that's hard to do, because when you're passionate about something, or at least really value something, it's hard to have that conversation without being like, why don't you get it? Why don't you work out? Why don't you blah, 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 blah? Like, because you want them to have those same values, but sometimes they just don't. And the worst thing you can do is push them further away by reacting in that way. And so, I don't know, we're getting kind of psychological here. This one would have been nice to have Dave and Tiff on, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, how would you approach it, you think, if Courtney didn't ever like want to go to the gym whatsoever? Like, what kind of would be your reaction in that sense, and how would you handle that? Let's just say, with a specific scenario, you want to get up and come to the gym at 6 a.m. one day, and she just doesn't want you to, even though you haven't been in a week.
Well, I don't really have any experience on this one regarding gym time, but I definitely have maybe some experience here regarding some fitness activities that I do enjoy that she didn't necessarily get into, and that would have been cycling.
Yeah.
Because I know I've kind of been into that since long before Courtney and I ever met, but she really wasn't into it at all in the beginning, and so I kind of did fall into that trap of trying to push her into it a little bit too hard, and I was like, I was trying to get her to ride bikes with me, and I definitely, took her on some bike rides that were way over her head, and I didn't realize, that there was a huge difference between, ability back then, because, I just took it for granted. And so I can definitely come at it from that angle. And I learned pretty quickly that exactly what you already said, if you come at it with, too much intensity, then you can really drive somebody away from that super quick. And, fortunately I learned that quickly, but I see a lot of other people do that with cycling, and, they get super into it and they try to get their partners into it, and then
Yeah.
their partners hate it because, you know, there's this expectation of doing what their partner does, but their partner does it all the time, and you just
Yeah.
can't get into it on that type of level. And so you could absolutely translate this over to gym time, CrossFit, things like that, because if you've been doing something for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then you get your partner into it and you expect them to be able to do it the same way you do when you have 3 years of experience, then that sets the whole experience up for failure because their expectations are off. And then when they can't do that right away, then they get frustrated and all of that.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question, or did I dance all around it?
Sort of. So Courtney did wind up getting into it with you. How did you kind of, I mean, obviously you let her choose. You weren't like, look, we're going to do this. And so
Well,
she's into it. So how did that come about?
I pulled back quickly enough. I realized that what I enjoyed, you know, she wasn't going to just automatically enjoy right out of the gate. So I pulled back quickly enough, and then was able to just introduce it to her in ways that, you know, small digestible chunks. And then eventually, you know, we had some enjoyable experiences together, and then I don't know, it just kind of grew from there. But some couples really miss out on that just because they come on too strong and they don't back off. I think I was fortunate enough that I backed off quickly enough and let her actually try it on her own speed and see if she liked it. And you know, we still go through cycles where I might be into it and then she's just not. So you know what? I'll just do the thing on my own.
Yeah.
And I'll be careful not to try to push her into it or make her feel bad or guilty about not participating in it with me.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've had any of that stuff with gym time. But yeah, I think I've definitely, it probably just ends with cycling there.
Yeah. I kind of had the same experience before because going back to the same relationship I was talking about earlier, he was a mountain biker and was like, let's do this together. We can go have some fun. I'm like, okay,
took you
cool.
on some crazy trail.
It wasn't even crazy or anything. It's just the fact that I hadn't been on a bike since I was a kid. I didn't ride my bike around town. Now that I'm an adult, I had a car. Why would I do that? But, So got to the point where I couldn't remember the last time I'd been on a bicycle. And so then I get onto the trail in Cape, out by the conservation area or something.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much like a straight drop off and then a sharp curve on a bridge. And I just ran right into the railing on the bridge. And I was like, no. This is not my thing. I'm like, I don't know how to like stop and turn that fast. And I braked, but I was like, and so I was just like, this is not cool, not fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was really conditioned to that. And I was not, even though I worked out, my quads weren't used to that like repetitive cycling, obviously. And so, and I didn't have an efficient bike, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Like anytime trying to keep up with the pack. So I kind of had that experience there. And so I was just like, this sucks. I can't keep up. I'm just not having fun with it. But
that's super frustrating when you get in with a group of people that are conditioned to it or comfortable with it, and you're the kind of the oddball out. That's frustrating for sure.
And it's hard to do something like that when you are cycling or when you're running. I think honestly it's a little bit easier to like go into a gym and
where you don't get left behind.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not going to get left behind on something. Whereas, you know, somebody else may not want to. If you decide to go have a cycling workout with somebody, and then you get out there and you're like, oh man, I'd have to like slow pedal as slow as I can go so that they're not dying. Then you don't get anything out of it. Yeah. They feel like they're dragging you down, yada yada. Whereas it's a little bit easier if you can go into a gym and stay in one place. But
yeah,
that's
I fully agree with that. That is definitely one of the benefits of even training for cycling. That's what I like so much about having these stationary bikes is you can build up your endurance and ability in a stationary place where, you know, the
Yeah.
person next to you, they can be going as fast or as hard as they want to go. And you can still be next to each other and feel like you're working out together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about there.
Yeah. So back to kind of the main topic of conversation. If you feel like you're having trouble maybe describing or relaying the importance or what your values are around fitness and why you're doing these things, it's important to just have that open conversation and maybe relate it to some other hobby or something else that's enjoyable for your partner and be like, look, this is something that you like to do. You like to spend money on whatever, you know, you like to go woodworking or something that has no interest to me. This is what I like to do instead. Like, just think of all the mental and physical benefit you get out of that. This is what I get out of this. And having that conversation that it's important for you to put yourself first in a sense so that you can be your best self for your family or your partner. And if this is something that you feel like gets you there, then it's important to have that conversation and make sure that they understand that. And then we could kind of go down the road of like when you maybe your partner has a little bit of interest in doing something like that, or you're trying to spark the conversation of getting them, maybe they're just not taking care of themselves as much as you would really hope they would. And obviously this is where things get really tricky because you can't just be like, hey, look, you're being a fat slob. But it's important to relay the message that, hey, look, your family wants to have you around for a while. And so we think that it might be a benefit to you and to us if we maybe all started partaking in some sort of activity all together so we can all see the value in it or the benefit of it. And so if you're trying to get your partner into something similar to what you're doing, maybe they don't want to do CrossFit. That's cool. Maybe they don't want to like go to the gym at all. Totally fine. Start where they're at and try to find a way to kind of help support them on that journey. Even if it's something that you don't find particularly fun or interesting, it helps for them to have a partner there to help get started, or find one of their friends that is willing to get started with them, or there's a million ways you could approach something like that. But think back to like the first time you came to the gym, or when you went to a group fitness class anywhere, and you probably went with a friend. That's what a lot of people do. It's easier that way a lot of times. So remember that. It's important to maybe try to do it with somebody else, because not everybody is a self-starter and just going to show up.
Yeah, that's definitely a tricky one, trying to get family members into something that you know is going to benefit them without insulting them.
Yeah.
That's definitely a tricky one. And I've seen a lot of those play out, and I have seen a lot of things go wrong, and, you know, some things go right, but I'm not sure of what kind of advice really to give there beyond what you've already said.
Yeah, it's
and
something
I guess I
you
got
can't.
to think,
Go ahead.
Well, I guess I got to thinking about jiu-jitsu. You know, I definitely hear some people talk about jiu-jitsu in this way, that they don't have any support from their partners on this at all. Their partners think it's a dumb activity. They don't have any respect for it. I'm using air quotes, but they try to talk them out of going and doing it because they'd rather go and do something else together with their partner. And so that's a tough conversation to have. You know, this is something that I like to do. You know, this is important to me. And so I guess this is exactly what you're talking about with gym time. So I'm just trying to find ways to relate this to things that I understand. But yeah, it's tricky. I don't know.
The conversation really, kind of going back to what we said in the beginning, it can't be accusatory in any sense. Just like whenever you're trying to it sounds a little manipulative, but when you're trying to get someone to do something, it really helps to say, look, I feel that X. I do think that something like this could really benefit you, and then kind of relate it to something else in life. You know, relate it to, maybe they have an unhealthy parent or sibling or something like that, and say, look, we're doing this out of the kindness of our heart. We're having this conversation with you because we love you and because we want you to be around for a long time. And make sure that it doesn't come about as, look, you aren't doing anything for yourself. You're not blah, blah, blah. You.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to, they're going to have more buy-in to it if they feel like they are doing it to help you, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of the basics of building relationships and maintaining relationships, is trying to find common ground. Yeah, I mean, this could get into really deep, psychological stuff that we need professionals for.
We're not going to go there.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's a good start to just kind of have that conversation. And if you guys have any ideas on how you've done it in the past, or good ways to good recommendations to give to other people so that they can have an easier conversation around these things, then throw them our way.
Yeah.
We'll put them on the Insta so you can all benefit.
This honestly would be just kind of a really good jumping off point. We're kind of just bringing up the topic, but we should revisit this in the future. So if you're listening to this and you've got any advice or personal stories, personal anecdotes, or anything you might contribute to this conversation, even if it's not advice, maybe it's just something that you can contribute to the conversation. We should absolutely carry this on at some time in the future. So
yeah, it'd be cool to hear some experience and stories around it.
Yeah, because, I mean, I know my experience with this is definitely limited. I mean, I talk with people a lot that have stories like this, but I'm kind of a listener in that regard. I'm not able to give a whole lot of advice on things usually, but it's always good to hear different perspectives.
Yep, for sure. That's cool.
You want to wrap it up there?
Yeah.
All right. If you've got some ideas, hit us up, and maybe we can make something in the future about this.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Michael.
We're going to sign it off there. So we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.